And here with us in the studio we've got Yanni Rigos.
Yeah.
How you doing, Yanni?
Welcome, Yanni.
And we've got a phone call. There we go.
Oh, that was quick.
Hello. And so Yanni, you're going to be participating in the Dandenong Ranges Open Studios later on this month.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
And you've been participating for quite a while.
Yes, I've been going into it ever since it started.
Yeah.
It's certainly grown quite a bit since it. I don't know how long it is now. It must be 5-6 years ago, or maybe a bit more.
So introduce the viewers to, listeners, sorry, to what the Dandenong Ranges Open Studios is.
Well, the Open Studios is where a whole group of artists within the Dandenong Ranges open up their galleries and studios where they work, so that people from the public can go and visit them, see their work, see what they're creating, because there's many artists up there in the hills who've got to get tucked away and forget. People don't really know who's there and what's there.
Yeah, what a great idea.
Yes, it is. And so you can go there, and also the great thing is you can also purchase work there, so it supports the artists because they're all trying to make a living. So it's a wonderful way to experience the art world and be close hand with the artist who's actually doing the work.
And tell us about your studio.
Well, my studio, I've got a little gallery that I built on my property about 6 years ago now. I used to sell at Southgate Market for 10 years down in Melbourne, and then I decided to give that up, and that's when I decided to build a gallery, which was sort of something different, so it sort of reflects my creative work, the actual building itself.
Yeah.
So it has a fantasy theme, Tolkien theme in the structure. And
yeah, I so want to see it. I'm absolutely busting to see it.
I've been there actually.
You've been there.
Incredible.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I went there like in my first 2 weeks in the Dandenong Ranges when I was still a traveller, and I was just blown away about the beauty of the Dandenong Ranges in general. But to go to this kooky little Lord of the Rings style house,
Yeah.
blew me away.
So which suburb are you in?
well, I'm in Callista.
Okay.
Callista. Yeah, and the studio, like I was a carpenter builder until I was 40. And my dad, I'm Greek background. I was born here. My father's born on Ithaca, the island Ithaca, which is actually where Ulysses is supposed to have come from, the myth of Ulysses.
Nice.
It's a little island in between Italy and Greece, mainland Greece. And so I grew up with boats and that sort of thing, so I've always loved the curves and lines of boats and in nature as well.
Yeah.
And so when I did finish at the market, I realised I needed to get another outlet, so that's why I created the gallery. And it was like I suppose it's like something that you all have like a wish, it's some great thing you want to do in your life, so that's what it ended up being. I didn't really realise it was going to be that, but that's what happened.
Yeah.
And it was just 1 year it took me to build it. I had help from some other people, but the main thing was done by myself. And so like one of those, how would you put it? Sort of like it was a major work in my life. So the gallery itself is an expression of my creativity.
And what are the other things that you make for sale?
Well, like a lot of artists, you sort of need to make. It's very difficult to make a living in the art world.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to make a product that gives you a good cash line. So I make a whole range of wooden jewellery boxes, which are made with Australian woods, rare burls, which are getting very hard to get now because we decimate the forest so much. They've had to lock the forest up to protect them. So the woodworkers like ourselves are finding it hard to get these woods. But the funny thing is people love the wood so much. Like the boxes are very popular because of the beauty in the woods. They're just phenomenal. Australia's got such a wide range of woods, from right up in Queensland down to Tassie, across to Western Australia.
So then the treasure boxes really are treasure.
They are, exactly.
Within themselves.
They are, it's right, it's so true.
Yeah.
And each burl or box that you make a lid out of is just like the story of a tree, you know, like
Yeah.
as you cut through each layer, there's like layers of history and stories and pictures of the universe. And so yeah, trees are a very big part of my life. I sort of feel very connected to trees and nature in general, of course.
And you also make these cool little houses.
Yeah, well that's my creative sculptural work, and that sort of just evolved again. You know, it's probably 20 years ago I started doing it, and they have started off as houses, maybe because I've got the house tradition inside myself, but it's sort of I call them like a fantasy theme, and it's sort of like magical, sort of whimsical creations, and so they've been in a state of evolution since I started them, and they're starting to change a bit more now.
How big are these houses?
Well, like I've got one in the gallery. It's about 6 feet, 1.8 high. I just finished another one now, just for the Barinja Gallery. That'll be an exhibition. It's actually been on the go for a long time, but I finished it this year, and that's 1.5 high, and that sits on a burl table with really unusual trunk legs, and then
Fantastic.
Like a domed roof on top of it. So
What do you, if they were real houses, what do you think the creatures would look like that would live in them?
Good
that's
question.
a good question.
Yeah.
I think whatever your imagination allowed it to be. I suppose when you think of Avatar, like that sort of thing, I sort of imagine that. But then again, you've got the Tolkien sort of figures as well. So it's really like little children love them. Like the appeal is from little children right up to adults. So I think it's whatever the imagination allows to imagine can be.
Yeah.
What do you imagine?
What do I imagine? Well, I meant like a lot of them have a theme of like we come from the earth, we're born in the earth, like our atoms come from the universe. We're sort of always moving and flowing through the universe, our bodies and our spirit. But our spirit's always there as well. And so a lot of them have a theme of coming out of the earth, rising towards a spiritual world as such, not just a male spiritual world, but a feminine, if anything, more feminine spiritual world in this day and age, where we're sort of devastating the earth so much that so there's that theme of wanting to invoke people, the magical, the mystical, and in an age where technology is so strong, and I'm not against technology, but I think it's almost becoming like a god, and we've lost contact with the spirit of nature and the spirit within each other.
Indeed, I agree.
Yeah. So so there's
Get with the times, dudes.
Catch up.
Old people.
yeah, we are.
I'm staring you. Yeah, no, I'm totally. I think there's a marriage of both.
That's right,
to be
exactly.
imagined.
Yeah, it is. Well, I think with the technology, it's a matter of how we use it, and I think that's we're at a cusp of an age, I suppose you'd call it, where technology is really rapidly, able to free us from many labour-intensive jobs and things like that. But at the same time, we have to stay connected to the earth and to this world. We're busy.
Why?
Well, we're busy going off. We want to go to Mars and the moon, all this sort of places. Yet we can't live with each other on the earth yet. Our grandchildren might have to see animals that we were lucky enough even to see in the wild, to go to maybe a museum, even worse so, but to a zoo. And we're getting to the stage where we're losing so many animals through extinction, and so we're seeing them in we might be able to see them in a technological way, but nothing can be more true than the true thing, seeing the true animal in its true natural habitat.
Yeah.
So I think that's where I feel we're at a crossroad, very dangerous crossroad, and the population of the world is growing so rapidly, so space and water and all those things are at a premium, and unless we start to become more holistic in our approach and more a sense of recycling and being part of the whole process, and then through the spiritual, because I've practiced meditation for over 30 years now, and it's really everything we look for outside is actually inside ourselves. So the more we go out, the more we actually go away from ourselves. So really, like the great sages and saints, whether it's Jesus, the Buddha, the saints, and whatever religion or tradition you follow, it's going inwards where you find the greatest truth and happiness, and you get connected to the whole of the universe through going inwards. So it's a bit of a catch-22. We're here to produce and create, and we're all given gifts to create, and so we're here as almost like a responsibility that God's given us, or whatever you see as God or consciousness, to manifest our own potentials and greatness. But at the same time, we have to go inwards at the same time. So it's a very difficult dilemma.
Do you believe all these philosophies are infused in your work?
I think so. I think like any artist, I think if you're being true to yourself, I always feel that art, like these days, a lot of what's called conceptual art, which is fine, but I think you have to be very careful you don't get caught in your head, because you need to come from your heart as well. And I think when you create, you want to, like a child creates, doesn't think, I've got to conceive this or conceive that. They get on there and they just create, and they're just so spontaneous. When they're little, they just get crayons, they get so excited. And I think you always want to retain that sort of element in your artwork. I think where you just, obviously you use your mind, but also your heart and your mind connect. So, and then that resonates with the person who looks at the work.
Same with songwriting, I think.
That's right, exactly. Like beautiful lyrics, they just come from a space where the person's just so deeply. Because sometimes it comes through drugs, which is understandable, because it takes you to those other realms.
It's a story, and I think artwork has its story too.
Exactly. Yeah, and all of life is really artworks, whether you're a cook or a gardener, whatever it is.
Indeed, you're absolutely
Art
right.
is a doing word.
Yes,
it is, isn't it?
So the Open Studios is on the 26th and 27th of May.
That's right.
From 10 a.m. till 5 p.m.
That's it. Yeah.
And your studio is where?
Oh, my studio is at number 5 Clarkson Road, Callista.
Yeah.
My son's works there as well. He's a painter. He paints.
Oh, nice.
Yanni Rigos.
Yeah.
And you can grab yourselves a Dandenong Ranges Open Studio guide, which is your essential guide.
Map to the whole
Yeah.
event.
And grab yourself one. They're absolutely everywhere now, in pretty much every shop I've been to.
They are.
In the whole of
And if
Dandenong.
anyone wants to find out a bit more about you, do you have...
Yeah, I have my gallery's open to appointment, so people just have to ring up and just make an appointment to come and see me. If they wish to purchase a box for a gift, it's the same thing, appointment, and they can come and box it also online. And so I have a website.
What's your website?
www.woodalchemy.com.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great. Well, thank you so much, Yanni, for coming in and
thank
talking
you,
to
Emma.
us.
Thank
It's
you.
really interesting.
It's been fun to have done this.
Lovely
before, so
to
really-
meet you.
Definitely recommend going to visit Yanni's beautiful
Yeah.
studio.
Thank you.